What's up, good folks? Hopefully, everybody is doing them in the most bona fide way that they know how. So, I just want to talk about Cube real quick. Um, been thinking about the story and the reports of how Cube's tour bus was, it went ablaze, is what the report said. I happen to be a fan of Ice Cube. I rock with Ice Cube, and rocking with Ice Cube since I was a young lady. Um, but one thing that I wanna talk about is I just want to acknowledge his attempts and his mindsets and his efforts to prioritize black folks and taking the initiative to create a black agenda for black folks. I remember that, and I did not forget that, so I admire him for that. I do know that there are people in the world, and especially in the industry, that it's a type of thing where people know where there's some sketch stuff going on, and people know where people are selling out, where they're compromising their soul, or they selling their soul to the devil, or however you want to put it, right? And people, they'll know about it, and they won't say anything. People will know certain things and they won't say anything. They'll be quiet about things that they shouldn't be quiet about, just so that they can, so that they can get the bag, or so that they can, pretty much they'll sell out for money, right? And then people do, a host of different things that will be compromising to oneself or one's soul for money. And as I said, people are a part of these societies, associations, and clubs, organizations, and they know that there's some things that is going on, or there are some things that is just not right, or it's compromising their integrity, and they won't say anything, right? Because they want to be a part of the club, they want to be a part of the a brotherhood, a sisterhood, or whatever, what have you, the organization, and then they'll keep quiet about it, right? So when I encounter or come across a soul or someone like Cube, who don't mind calling people out on their shit, and people who actually walk with the intent to be righteous, those are the type of people that I like to gravitate towards. Those are the type of people that I think that we should give praises to. Those are the people that I give praises to and who I honor, because I honor truth and I thrive in truth and light, not deception and lies, and not people who are copycats and those who will sell out just so that they can they'll sell out so that they can have a huge monetary gain. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And someone who can't be trusted because they're compromised with certain information and certain things that they know, and they keep quiet about certain things, and their integrity is in question. Their integrity is in question, so therefore they're not trustworthy. And then they're not trustworthy enough to head or lead other people, right? So when they say that his tour bus became a blaze or flame or whatever, they said that there was no evidence of an incendiary device, or a device that could be used in arson, if you will, right? Like what do they call those things? Anyways, like homemade, items or devices that you can use for, like, to set something ablaze, or can be used in cases of arson, if you will, right? So they said that there was no evidence of that. That was in one of the recent or latest reports. But it almost, in the report that I read, it almost made it seem like that there was no foul play, like there was no malicious intent. But they said that his tour bus was vandalized. So if they say that it's vandalism, if you know what vandalism is and you know what the word vandalism means, then that lets you know right off the bat that there was ill will or there was ill intent, right? So, I'm not saying that everything is a conspiracy. I'm not saying that his tour bus being vandalized was a conspiracy. But what I will say is that, I keep my eyes and ears open for certain things, and I try not to let even the smallest thing get past without, thinking that it might be more to it, and keeping in mind the possibility that there might be more to it, especially when we're talking about high profile individuals and celebrities, right? Especially when you talk about somebody that is who is as significant as Ice Cube, right? And then with him having the Black agenda and Black people in mind and having our best interests at heart, you can't, one can't help but wonder, was it something that was really intentional? Was he targeted, right? And these things should be talked about, and, we should kind of, take notes on these different occurrences and things, especially when you're talking about leaders in the community and celebrities or people who are in prominent positions that have Black people's best interests at heart. Because we know that historically, anybody that has Black folks' best interests at heart, or when we get to talking about unification, or we get to talking about freedom, or we talk about stepping over here and doing our own thing, it has been repetitive where bad things have happened. And we have seen this, right? So I don't think that we should go on and act like that, these things never happen. And even if it seems small to some people, it's not small. And especially something such as vandalism. This is very familiar, isn't it? We've heard about this before. Oh yeah, we have absolutely heard about this before. We've heard about it happening with Dr. King. We've heard about it happening with many different civil rights activists and different, prominent Black people in our community. So then my next thought is, how do we protect one another, and how do we protect our Black leaders? And I'm not talking about our Black leaders that are perfect. I'm not talking about that, right? There are some people in the community that are just absolutely wrong. They're just wrong. And there's certain things that I just absolutely can't defend. And I can't rock with, and I can't ride with, right? But I rock with Cube. I rock with Cube. I rock with a lot of people. I rock with people that are like him, that actually have, us in mind and certain goals for the upliftment of our community and, the Black agenda, to say the least, right? So again, the question is, because what I don't like is that when bad things happen, it's like one of us have to be used as an example for when bad things happen. But why? Why do we have to be so reactive? How come we can't be more proactive, right? And then why is it that we're so scary? Who are people scared of? And if I was in a private conversation right now with a group of us and I asked that question, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm not scared. I'm not scared." Da 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 da. And people will say that. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of our people just really seem like they are fearful or that they are scared. And one might say, well, why would you say that? What makes them seem scared, Because things are continuously happening to people in our community, and it's like, something will happen and then everybody is an investigator, the top investigator, and then it's just like, okay, well, the next day happened, then the next week, then the next month, and the next year, and it's like, nothing ever happened. I'm not promoting violence. I'm promoting a proactive approach. How do we protect one another? How do we protect people that matter to us? Male or female, right? Our brother or our sister. How do we protect one another? Because if we don't protect us, nobody's going to protect us. And we've seen this already. Like, not to, downplay or to dismiss the people who are non-black people who really rock with us and who really be out there. And, you know, we're not talking about them, right? Because a lot of us, we have very colorful families anyways, you know? So, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about prominent people in our communities, and even people that may not just be, you know, the ones at the forefront or the ones who, you know, are high profile. How do we protect people that are like-minded and have a like mission? Because there is a seriousness, right? People need to understand the magnitude and the seriousness of how sensitive it is and how much of a target one becomes when they start to express their love for black people, or again, to simply put it, their intentions for a black agenda. So that's something that I think that we should think about. Even if it's something where his health was not compromised, his, you know, I don't even know if I want to say safety, right? But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if it's something where he didn't necessarily get hurt, but his property was affected, or, you know, this tour bus and things, it's like, you know, they want to sweep it under the rug and dismiss it, saying that there's no evidence of, you know, something that is as serious as like arson, if you will, right? But the fact of the matter is if there was a vandalism, that's something small. And just say it could be considered as something small. But then when you look at certain situations where, you know, a person is trying to send a message, or a person has a intent of ill intent to do something even worse, sometimes people, you know, they come and they'll do a test run, or what some people will call a dry run, right? It's surveillance, and then it's a test, and then it's to see, you know, how would one act, you know? Some people might say, oh, you know, on a smallest level, well, you know, it probably was just some kids or somebody that, you know, was just being an asshole. But again, we're talking about this brother, and then we have, when we consider the things that he's been trying to do in the community, now we have something else to think about. There's other things that should be on our minds, is all I'm trying to say, is my whole message. You know, the Angie Stone situation and her message and her cry before her untimely demise or transition. Malcolm Jamal Warner. There are so many instances and stories of very suspect and sketch deaths of, you know, people in our community. Again, like I said, I'm not the one that's going to promote violence. This message is simply just to put something on your mind. Those that look like me, I want to say this, and I want to specify who I'm talking to. Those that look like me, but those that actually love black people and actually, you know, have the mind of black people's best interests at heart, because some people that look like us don't really have our best interests at heart. You know, there's nothing wrong with us loving everybody and really having our best interests at heart. And if people don't understand that, then that's too bad. That's between them and God. But again, there are people that look like us that will throw us under the bus, that will sell out for an extra bag, you know, and he talked about those people. So that's something else that, you know, you might want to keep in mind. He talked about those people that are a part of these clubs of gatekeepers, is what he called it. And he said, you know, they don't like it when you don't want to be a part of their club. I feel that. I really feel that. You know, people having certain status and they have certain, you know, tax brackets, and not hating on the people that have money. Do you? But when you don't want to be a part of, you know, the darkness or the things that are going to compromise, you know, that are going to compromise your integrity, or compromise your character and your family and your loved ones and the things that matter to you, when you don't want to be a part of that, that's a problem. I got so much love for Cube, and I got so much love for everybody that think like him, because it's literally sacrificing oneself for the greater good and for the betterment and for the best interest of those that look like you. And then people that feel as though he's stepping on toes, or he's doing things that they're not doing, or things that they are against or that they don't care about, they would crucify a man like him, such as himself. You know, they crucified their own Jesus. So a lot of this stuff, we see it repeating itself over and over and over again. And there's just so many people in the community on different levels, on lower levels and in higher levels, you know, it just depends. But there's so many good people in our community, and there's so many people that have a like agenda, that are like-minded, that actually have the best interests of Black people at heart and in mind. And those are the people I think that we should shine a light on, but we should also do whatever that it takes to protect them. And that's the message that I wanted to share in this video. That's the message that I wanted to deliver. Y'all take it easy. Have a blessed day, and Ashe.